We have 2 weeks. So early in July. Okay, so let me go like back a bit. Our plan since winter was that Zeph would move over here full time come this summer and drive back and forth for work, and we would settle in Canada, work our way towards permanent residency. This was the plan. We were spending half our time here and half our time in the States before everything shut down. And so the plan, and their dad, who is where we were staying in the States, knew this was our plan. And Dad had plans built off our plans with rearranging living arrangements and stuff. So in July, you started talking to your dad, and your dad's like, I was still continuing with my plans because there were other people and other things going on, and are you still continuing with yours? Because we kind of need to figure this out, because the house is going to get real crowded real fast if we don't figure this out.
That's one way to phrase it.
That's one way to phrase it. And we kind of went into panic and started doing some research. And I took a shot in the dark, and I called my local member of parliament's office, and I ended up contacting a wonderful woman on the phone, one of his assistants, and explained to her the situation, explained that we had been renting a room from a family member in the States, and that this room we'd given notice on it months ago, and we were still expected to maintain that notice. And she contacted one of her contacts at Canada Border Services and was informed that there is there was some sort of a task force. I know very little about where this went and how it happened, but basically a task force that looks at unique circumstances for the border crossing and the closure and the exemptions and all of that. And basically told me to plead my case in an email and get any documentation that we could. So we got a copy of the lease from the room in the States at your dad's, and your dad wrote a letter indicating that it wasn't going to be available any longer. We got letters from both of our employers documenting their knowledge of our relationship and our plans for permanently settling in Canada, and that we were living together between the two countries for the last year. And the letters from the boss. I got a letter from a friend who is a business professional in the city and very aware of, the relationship and all of that. So she wrote her bits. We got these documentation, and I outlined in an email kind of like, this is what our last year looked like time-wise specifically, and how the separation has affected us, what our plans were, that we're not sure what you're going to do if we can't get you over here because your space there is not going to be available. I discussed issues with, just kind of laid everything out, and we sent it off. I didn't even have the email for this task force. I sent it to my MP's office, who then forwarded it to the task force. And we were told that we should have a response within 24 hours. It ended up being more than 24 hours. I think
it was a week.
It was a week. And the wonderful lady from my MP's office called me a week later, and I could tell. I could tell by the tone of her voice when I answered that it was good news. But she had good news for us. I had this feeling it was going to be good news because I'm cheesy, and while I'm not religious, I believe the universe loves us and wants us to be together. And I've seen signs everywhere. That's a story for another time. If you actually want to hear about all of the signs that I've seen in the last year and a half, pushing me to be with you. And here, insane I am. Let me know, because, that's fun. But, so.
We could put that in multiple videos.
I see what I want to see, and I see the universe telling me that I was in love with you.
Okay.
Which, I mean, I was. So anyways, I knew that it was going to be good news by the tone of her voice. I still haven't picked an eyeshadow color.
Nope.
No, this is going to be a very not well thought out eyeshadow blend. I'm not good at multitasking. Anyways, so the good news was that we had approval.
Yeah.
The bad news was that because we only had one bathroom in our home, the entire house was going to have to go on quarantine. So this presented a few problems. We were prepared for you to be quarantined for 2 weeks.
Yep.
We were prepared for me to be quarantined for 2 weeks. I talked to both of my bosses. I was able to work from home because at this point I was back to work, but I'm able to work from home. I had made arrangements with my mom for my children. During my time in the 2 weeks, I have 1 week on, 1 week off custody. So my week out of the 2 weeks, they were going to go have fun with grandma. So we were prepared for Zeph to be quarantined. I knew that we wouldn't be sleeping in separate beds, so we were prepared for me to be quarantined. What we weren't prepared for were our 2 roommates to also have to quarantine. One of our roommates was scheduled to return to work. He'd been off for some personal stuff, and he was scheduled to go back to work near the 28th, the 27th?
Something like that.
Something like that.
And the end of August.
July. The end of July. The 27th or 28th of July, he was scheduled to go back to work. Keep in mind, we are at the very beginning of July. We have exactly 3 weeks between when we got notice that you were approved to come, but the whole house had to quarantine,
yep,
and when he needed to go back to work.
Yeah.
Which means, at this point, you hadn't talked to your employer. You hadn't done anything.
My boss, the store manager, had been on vacation the last week of June and the majority of the first week and a half.
So we had gotten the letter from your supervisor.
Yes.
But the actual store manager had no clue what was... Like, he knew of our relationship, but he didn't know you were moving to Canada.
And I mean, he knew of our plans to move to Canada. We sort of talked about it during the 4-month quarantine or whatever. He'd come up and, like, he'd ask me about you and about us and how we're doing and whatever. And, like, he knew of... I had told him in the winter when we decided that I would come to Canada, that I would move to Canada. I had told him about that and what it would look like and everything else. Job-wise, availability, everything like that. But he kind of assumed that with COVID it was just put on hold. And for the time being, we all thought it was. And
everybody but your dad thought things were put on hold.
Yeah. But yeah, so he was on vacation when my dad had told me that I needed to figure out a way to Canada by August or September. September at the very, very latest. And, he took like a 2-week vacation, and I mean, he deserved to spend time with his family and his kids and everything like that. But I really didn't want to bother him on his vacation, especially when I didn't know if we would get approval or not. And I figured that if we did get approval, it's only the beginning of July. I still have like a full month to give him notice, and that didn't really happen.
No. You had 1 week to give notice, pack everything, storage everything.
We found out on, give me a sec to pull up the calendar here. So we found out that I was approved to come here on July 7th. We also found out July 7th that the only day that would work for me to cross over, that would work for everybody, but the whole house having been quarantined, and our roommate returning to work was the following Monday, which was the 13th. And then, like, shortly towards the weekend or whatever, we realized that it needed to be pushed a day for whatever reasons. But we thought it would be the Monday, and it ended up being the Tuesday, because whatever. But yeah, so and Tuesday, I had that Tuesday off. I was scheduled to work on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'd have Saturday off. And our trucks came on Thursdays. So I figured, okay, I will see my boss on Thursday, and I will let him know Thursday. And then I'd recheck the schedule, and he would be gone before I got there, because I was closing all that week. And the only time where I would actually see him was Friday. So Tuesday I still wrote the letter telling him the situation, and that Friday had to be my last day. And I can explain more in person because it is kind of a long story. And I realized Tuesday night, Wednesday morning that I can't do that to him, so I sent him a message on Wednesday asking him to come in, because I knew he was in town, like he was back in town. I don't know if he even left town, but...
You knew he was around that night.
Yeah, I knew he was around, so I sent him a message asking him to come in, and I told him the situation, and that Friday needed to be my last day.
After 6 years of working there?
Yeah.
It's a good thing he likes you. Like,
Almost
he likes you personally.
Almost exactly 6 years. My 6 years was June 28th.
Oh, really?
That was a week after. Yeah.
But he cares about you personally. Like, he was happy for you.
Yeah.
He was disappointed for himself as your employer, but he was happy for you on a personal level.
He was disappointed on the professional level. I'd been there 6 years. I finally got manager promotion that I could keep because all my previous ones had just been temporaries, and I got to keep it for a month. Yeah. So he was happy on a personal level, just not so much on the professional one. I feel like regardless, I'm more out of practice anymore.
Well, I mean, before you came home, I was doing this probably every other week.
Yeah, I did it once.
I actually did drag makeup more.
I did it twice, and because you pushed me to do it.
I did it more during shutdown, probably, than I did normally. Because, I mean, normally we'd do a show once a month.
Yeah. Maybe
occasionally.
Twice.
Yeah, we'd show once a month in the States, maybe, and actually, like, we did, like, 3 or 4 a year in Canada, and then occasionally we'd do makeup sitting around the house here, like, every few months.
Yeah, and I was never here for any of those.
But I did story time almost every second week for a period of it, with the Pride Project, and then I did a few other story times, and then, like, Paris and I would use makeup to force the other one out of feeling like crap if we noticed, right? Like, hey, come do makeup with me. I also did a virtual makeup with Flynn. I did a couple with you.
You did
I
one
was
with me.
pushing you. Yeah, only one virtual one, like, live, but didn't you and I also do makeup together once, but not recorded? Thought we did one.
I did makeup.
Well, I was going to, and then I decided I wasn't. Yeah. Because I think I'd had it on the day before, my face hurt.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, so we did it once, and that one time where you and me went live was the day we were supposed to have our show in March, so it was literally a week after they shut the bridge. Or the week they shut the bridge.
Yeah, it was early. That was when we were still operating under the whole, this is only going to be a couple weeks.
I've seen so many posts. I will never question people's stupidity on, like, running, like, horror movies. And especially when they're about when they're about viruses and stuff, like Contagion. Or any zombie movie. I feel like now I know that there are people who would legit just full on run into a horde of zombies just to prove that it's fake.
Yes, very much. Okay, so your response to me was great, but like, did you think I was completely losing my mind when I messaged you from the grocery store? So I didn't grocery shop for a while. I depended on the roommates to do the grocerying because I have anxiety over new situations. Like, going and doing something that I've never done before, I'm terrified of doing it wrong. So, while I've grocery shopped 4 million times in my life, when they started with, like, lineups and wearing masks and social distancing and all of these rules at the grocery store, I became very fearful of going to the grocery stores. Not afraid of catching the virus, just afraid that I would do the wrong thing in the grocery store and get in trouble.
And then be that person.
So the roommates grocered for a while and I didn't have to. Mm-hmm. But then eventually I realized I had to. I can't never grocery again. I need to figure this out. So I went into RJ's Market, which is like a small, local, independently owned...
Like a mom and pop's.
It's a little mom and pop grocery store. It's got great fried chicken too. But anyways. So I go in and I come out and I was like... I think I was actually in tears. I was really close to tears if I wasn't completely in tears. But I was having a moment of like... I spent a lot of time balancing like... And social media didn't help. Balancing like my understanding of science and my desire to be safe and all of those things with my overactive imagination that has read way too many dystopian future novels. So there's the part of me, and then there's the actual like combined part where it's like I recognize the need for these precautions and rules, and I think they're totally understandable and valid right now, but I'm concerned about the precedent we're setting that when this threat is gone, are these rules going to be lifted or are they going to stick around way longer than needed? So I kind of had that going on, which, I mean, that's a reasonable, logical discussion, but there's this part of me that's not reasonable or logical that was having these moments of, like, utter panic that we were, like, on the brink of dystopian future, and we were about to embark on the districts, and we wouldn't be allowed, you know, the borders are shut, and we are never going to be allowed to cross the border again ever, and, the government's going to come down like Big Brother in 1984, and like so I had these moments, and after my first trip to the grocery store, I had a really, really bad one. So I called Zeph from the parking lot, like almost in tears. They were really good, but yeah, what was your? Did you think that your girlfriend had completely gone off the deep end when you got that message? And didn't make you question your desire to come home at some point? No. Is that why you bought me a survival knife?
Sure.
So I've read like so many articles about people separated and like the activism that's being done. And I think my favorite quote out of everything I've read is like, so, a marriage certificate prevents the spread of COVID. Because, you know, if you're married, you get to travel between countries. But if you're not married, you don't get to travel between countries. Because, you know, marriage certificate will protect you from the COVID. You want some glitter?
No.
You sure? Mm-hmm. I can give you some glitter for your beard.
I'll take whatever I get.
Surprisingly none. We've perfected the glitter face kiss so that it doesn't get transferred.
He'll be kissed on stage and then it's gone.
That's different.
Oh, it's different? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's different. That's what I thought.
Alright, so that's us doing makeup and talking about, you know, COVID and Zeph moving to Canada. So where we're at now is Zeph is technically here on a 6 months visitor's visa. It's not a visa because you're coming from the States. It's a 6 months visitor's record. But our understanding from everybody that has done the same is that it's not a problem usually to renew it. So before the 6 months is up, shortly before the 6 months is up, we go down to customs and we apply for an extension on it. Sometimes I've heard they give you another 6 months. It'll be a minimum of 6 months. I've heard of people getting a year extension, a year and a half. Once we have bills in both of our names here, which we've started, for 1 year, you can apply for permanent residency on cohabitation. If we get married before that year, we can apply for permanent residency on marriage. So those are the two paths that we're currently pursuing. And yeah, so that's, if you've continued watching and we haven't bored you to death, then you can let us know, because I'm going to go, when we're done this, and figure out how to start a YouTube channel. And if you're watching this, that means I was successful. And we will make more videos. If you want to see us talk about anything in particular while we do makeup, then let us know. Give us some ideas of what you want to see us discuss. And yeah. Yay. If this has made it to you, yay, we've made a video that got off your iPad and made it into the digital world of the internet. So, bye.
So you're going to tell them to contact us with no contact information?
It's on YouTube. They just comment underneath.
Oh, but there's also media platforms. There's Facebook and Instagram. I do not want to be that person.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Zephyr Shadow and Luke McKinley Gore on Facebook and Instagram. And I think that's all either of us have. And then whatever the name of this channel is going to be, but you know that because you're watching the video. I promise that I'm going to get better at this if I do it more than once. I could let you do all the talking. No. Okay, I think that's everything. Hopefully you liked this and you're still watching and haven't run away yet.